this podcast, we cover the truth, science about what actually happened in this opioid crisis. That's what we do here. Okay, you go to the psychiatrist, you're getting an opinion. Okay, you say, I think I'm pregnant. You're going to get a pregnancy test. You go to the doctor and you say, I'm diabetic. You're going to get a blood sugar test. You say, I think I've had a stroke. You're going to get a CAT scan. That's how medicine is done. You suspect something, then you confirm it. So for every one of you who have been diagnosed with opioid addiction, opioid use disorder, what test was done on you? Was it a blood test? Was it a CAT scan? Was it a DNA test? Was it some type of a psychological profile? What test did they do to confirm the diagnosis of opioid addiction, opioid use disorder? And for every one of you, the answer is the same. There was no test, which means the diagnosis of opioid addiction, opioid use disorder is not really a diagnosis. It's just somebody's opinion. It happens to be an opinion that's wrong. Look at the screen in front of you. That's what science looks like. This was a mouse study done by Dr. Liu, 2020. He gave the mouse either salt water or epinephrine or norepinephrine, or he gave them the combination of epinephrine and norepinephrine. In other words, you're looking at adrenaline toxicity. You're looking at what happens to our people when they go into opioid withdrawal. Now look on the left-hand side there. You're looking at the survival rate over time. The bottom line, that's the combination of E plus NE. That's epinephrine plus norepinephrine. And follow it out to 6 hours. And at 6 hours, they're about half dead. Half the mice are dead at 6 hours. Now, in our study where we drew blood on humans in opioid withdrawal, 2 of the humans actually had the combination of epinephrine and norepinephrine. Probably why we have 4 million dead. So this is what we were talking about the other day. Dr. Sportelli is telling you, oh, opioid withdrawal won't hurt you, but the science is showing absolutely it will. We're going to clip here. Folks, what I want you to listen to is that he actually makes a statement that yawning is one of the symptoms of withdrawal, but he doesn't know why.
You might start to see those early signs of withdrawal. You might start to see them running to the bathroom because they have abdominal cramps and diarrhea. They could vomit. They could have stomach upset from that withdrawal. They start to get a runny nose. It's called rhinorrhea. A runny nose. So they may be sniffling a lot. And get this, yawning. A side effect of withdrawal from opiates, and I'm not sure why this happens, but they yawn a lot. So they yawn a lot, minimal appetite because their stomach is upset, running to the bathroom, irritable, snappy, desperate. They seem desperate.
Okay, everybody, let me explain this to you. Dr. Sportelli is saying yawning is one of the symptoms of opioid withdrawal. I don't know why. Dr. Sportelli, I'm talking directly to you now. Let me explain this to you and all the other psychiatrists. The reason that you do not understand the symptoms that the individual is having is because you guys never engaged in the process of learning what true emergency situations look like. For those of us who went into emergency medicine, when something heavy hit the door, we stepped forward. The psychiatrist was there. The overwhelming majority of you stepped back. You were not comfortable with emergency situations. You stepped away from learning. The reason you don't understand why they're yawning, Dr. Sportelli, because you do not understand medical emergency. That's why you went into psychiatry. Okay, you described the abdominal cramping, the vomiting, the diarrhea, the runny nose. You described the yawning. If you had paid attention in medical school, you would have known those are symptoms of a type of neurotoxicity, a dysfunction within the nervous system, specifically parasympathetic toxicity. The parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, that would be yawning. By the way, the watery eyes, runny nose. When you sleep, your body actually keeps your eyes and your nose moist. That's why you get watery eyes and runny nose. So that's why, Dr. Sportelli, the symptoms are yawning, runny nose, and the abdominal distress. That's called parasympathetic toxicity, Dr. Sportelli. It's embarrassing that I'm having to use a podcast to explain to you basic fundamentals of medicine you should have learned in medical school, but you did not. And you go out and you embarrass yourself by saying, they're even yawning. I don't know why. I don't know why they yawn. Of course you don't know why. You didn't engage in the learning process, Dr. Sportelli. It's why you went into psychiatry. Now, look at the remainder of the symptoms that these people experience in opioid withdrawal. The dilated pupils, the pouring sweat, hair standing on end, the heart pounding away furiously. Those are signs and symptoms of what's called sympathetic toxicity. So you have signs and symptoms of both branches of the autonomic nervous system, part of the nervous system that controls the internal organs. Okay, you have the parasympathetic, the rest and digest, and you have the sympathetic, the fight or flight, where you get the pouring sweat, the hair standing on ends, the dilated pupils, the pounding heart. You also get the adrenaline toxicity, which is the graph from Dr. Liu that we're looking at on the screen with the epinephrine and norepinephrine. That's what kills them. And so what I wanted to point out to you folks today is when you really start to sit back and examine the words of the psychiatrists themselves, they're nonsense. They are telling a fairy tale. He may be very well dressed, but he is clueless, particularly on the aspects of emergency medicine. People who are in emergency medical situations, which is what opioid withdrawal is. They lose control of their internal organs. When you lose control of your adrenal gland, you go into adrenaline toxicity. Humans have 3 adrenaline: epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. They're all 3 made and stored in the adrenal glands that sit on top of the kidneys. You do not want to lose control of that Oregon. Why? Look at the Dr. Lou study. Epinephrine by itself killed some of the mice. Norepinephrine by itself killed some of the mice. But the combination of epinephrine and norepinephrine was deadly. You're looking at half the mice dead in 6 hours. When we drew our blood on 15 human volunteers, 13 out of 15 had at least one elevated adrenaline level. 2 of them had the combination of epinephrine and norepinephrine, though. They still even either one died. We called an emergency halt to our clinical trial. We drew our blood on human volunteers on day 3 of no opioids. So this abnormality with the adrenaline, it's not a temporary thing. It was still there 3 days later. Our people were still demonstrating toxic levels of catecholamines, levels high enough to kill them. So, Dr. Sportelli, I hope that helps you understand. And of course, Dr. Sportelli, I'm willing to go on any podcast, any TV show, any radio show, any show with you whatsoever, and have an open debate so people can see for themselves the sham that is psychiatry. All right, everybody, we'll hold here for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe us. Don't forget to post this podcast on your social media, everybody else's social media. I've read every comment from everybody. Okay, keep the comments coming. You guys are helping us help you. So please listen to all the videos, listen to everything that's posted on our website. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.